So if you follow my channel, a lot of you knew that I really liked the 2023 Hellfire Gala issue. That book took me to places that I have not seen in quite some time when it came to the X-Men. It felt like there were stakes, there was loss, and I was totally excited to see what comes next with the Fall of X. This week we get the X-Men issue 25, and we also get the Astonishing Iceman. Does it deliver? We'll talk about it. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. I'm your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy. Today, obviously, we're going to be talking about the X-Men. Listen, guys, I wasn't even going to read the Hellfire Gala, never mind X-Men 25 and Astonishing Iceman issue 1. Now, after today's discussion, hopefully, it will help you make a decision if you want to continue with this Fall of X stuff. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't read your books yet, make sure you read them. If you're on the fence about buying them, this discussion will definitely help you make a decision if you want to go forward with this stuff. Now, the one thing I want to say before we really get into it is I really wish that Marvel would grow a pair of balls, because when it comes to certain things that goes on with two certain characters in these two comic books, it's just like, come on, man. Like, stop wasting people's money when it comes to certain stuff. That's not to say, though, that these comics or comic is a bad comic book. There's just certain elements that kind of pisses me off, all right? So let's talk about the book that I did not like as much. And the first book is going to be Astonishing Iceman. This is issue 1. The reason why I picked this up was because if you read the Hellfire Gala, you got to see a bunch of mutants get killed. Now, we all know that these mutants are not going to stay dead, right? But one of the major players in the X-Men universe is Iceman. He's an Omega mutant. He's very powerful, right? And in the beginning portions of that Hellfire Gala, we got to see Iceman totally get obliterated, like wasted, melted away. Like, okay, this dude is dead. There's no way he's going to come back. And you're thinking, yes, there is. There's going to be a way somehow he's going to come back. But how does he have his own series coming out a week later and you're just kind of dumbfounded? So I'm like, I have to buy Astonishing Iceman issue 1 to see how he comes back, or did he actually die, or whatever happened in it. Now, the writer of this book is Steve Orlando. And if you go into it, the artwork is actually pretty good. Not bad here. But I really didn't care about anything else in this comic book of what happened on, except Iceman, on how this dude is still alive. Because right away, you get to see him helping other people survive Orcus and all that different type of stuff. Now, Orcus's job is to try to get all the mutants off the street. They're the ones that are going to be the savior of Earth right now, because supposedly the mutants have betrayed all humans, right? So in the beginning, you wind up getting to see Iceman just tackle these robots and all this other stuff. He's making out with some random dude in the street and whatnot. And the last thing I checked, that Iceman is like, he is in a relationship with this dude, Romeo, right? He's an Inhuman guy. He's got this like secret base, right, in the middle of Antarctica. And he's kind of like disappearing and reappearing. And when he gets closer to the man that's in charge of him still being alive, he basically gets stronger again. So the further away that he's from the Inhuman Romeo, the weaker he gets. The closer he is, the stronger he gets. Now, why does this happen? I'm going to explain this to you. We get to relive what happened in the Hellfire Gala, in case you did not read this issue, how he was totally obliterated by Nimrod. And because of the feeling that Romeo had, the empathy that he had for him, right? He was able to recreate Iceman once again, right? The love, the passion for him, wound up reinvigorating him, or bringing back his essence back again to life. But again, he's not full alive. He has to be like in a certain proximity to have his full power, right? So if he's too far away, he's going to melt away and die. I mean, that's what it is. It's kind of lame, right? The only thing I can say is that how is Iceman going to get back to his regular form? I don't know. I don't like it, okay? It's just a cheese factor of why we cannot kill certain characters off, right? Are we afraid to kill him off because of his status quo right now of him being gay? Or is it just we just can't kill off any certain characters anymore for any length of time, right? I don't know what it is. Like, why did this miniseries have to exist, right? I'm not sure. The way he's brought back to life or not dead quite yet, it's just mind-boggling. So I really did not like this issue. It's just a cop-out, right? How, though, is he going to get back to his full form? I'm sure we'll find out in the end. Somehow he's evil also. They're setting him up. It's an Orcus thing. I don't know. I would not recommend that comic book whatsoever. All you need to know is that Iceman is not dead. He's still kind of alive based off of his lover. Okay. Let's talk about X-Men issue 25. If there is a book here that you're going to want to pick up, it's going to be this one, because this really leaves off on the heels of the Hellfire Gala and the ramifications, what Orcus is doing and whatnot. This is a double-sized issue. This is a $6 comic book. It's well worth the price. There's a lot of narration. There's a lot of story to be told here. So if you're looking to rush through a comic book, don't rush through it. Take your time. Read it. It took me a good half hour to read this book because there is a lot to read. And this book is very much a Kitty Pryde book because in the beginning of the whole Krakoa thing, for some reason, Kitty Pryde could not go through the portals of Krakoa. But when Orcus shut down these portals, right away she was able to phase through because they're just basically a normal door at this point. And now she has access to all these different points of where these portals can be. And she's kind of like the person that can scout things out and find out what's going on, which is really pretty awesome on her end. But in this issue, you wind up getting to see a lot of stuff that's going on with Orcus in their play here on protecting the Earth and how the mutants are evil. And it does a really great job at catching up the reader in case you really didn't read the Hellfire Gala issue. You got to see what happens with Cyclops. They basically, close his eyes shut. They sew him shut. We wind up getting to see, was it Dr. Stasis, which is like a Mr. Sinister clone, give Cyclops an ultimatum and whatnot. And obviously Cyclops is not going to go and work with him or side by him in whichever shape or form. We wind up getting to see our current X-Men team by default right now. And that is Talon, which is old woman Laura, Sync, Shadowcat, which is Kitty Pryde, Kamala Khan, and Rasputin 4. You wind up getting to see these guys again as default, the X-Men of right now. And Emma Frost, I should say, as well. Okay? The biggest thing that pissed me off about this comic book is that, once again, we wind up getting to see Kamala Khan's death, right, in the pages of Spider-Man probably about 3 weeks ago. And the Hellfire Gala, right from the very opening page, we wind up seeing her get resurrected in the gala, and we find out that she is a mutant inhuman hybrid at this point. She was inhuman first because of the Terrigen Mist cloud, right? And so her mutant abilities did not kick in yet. But we found out that, of course, just in the nick of time, that Cerebro lets everybody know that she's a mutant. She could get resurrected. So she comes back as a mutant, and everything's fine, hunky-dory with her. We wind up getting to see the attack on Krakoa, and now she is a mutant. So what happens is, at first, Emma Frost sits there and says, this is too big for you. You need to go home. You need to be with your family. And Kamala Khan is afraid of going back to her family and telling them that she is a mutant and that she's alive. And it's just like, And she's like, they've been through so much, and I'm afraid to tell this to them. And it's kind of like, just grow a pair of balls, man. Like, just tell your freaking family that you're alive. Like, they're going to be ecstatic. Who cares if you're a freaking mutant? But Emma Frost goes with it, and she's like, well, you know what then? She's like, fine. I'm going to erase everything. They're not going to know that you died. There's not going to be a certificate of death. There's not going to be anything. And nobody's going to know that you died at one point. They're just going to know who you are at this moment in time. They're not even going to know that you're Ms. Marvel anymore. And she's like, oh, great. That is such a wonderful relief. And you're kind of like, why would you go through all this shit with Spider-Man and the death and the funeral of a friend? Are we that afraid that people are going to be that upset that Ms. Marvel was dead, even for a little bit length of time? Are we that afraid that she's going to be a mutant? Like, what's the point of all that nonsense that you put all your readers through? I don't get any of that. So she is basically status quo now, is just a mutant. Nobody knows who she is. So everything that everybody went through was for nothing. Just waste of time and money. That's what got me upset about this issue. But they have to close the door on it somehow. So the door is closed. We're starting new with Ms. Marvel. What I loved about this issue, though, put her aside, is that she now feels like she owes Emma Frost, and she feels like she wants to be part of the team. So it looks like she's part of the team. But the Kitty Pryde moments is what makes this book shine, okay? When she becomes Shadowcat once again, she is the lone person that can travel between all these portals and gain intel to find out what's going on with Orcus, right? But then we got to see at the end of this comic book what happened with Kitty Pryde when she fell through that portal at the end of the Hellfire Gala, okay, where she ended up in, I think it was Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken, right? And she comes across all the Orchid soldiers, and she is threatened by them. And she's like, you don't want to mess with me because you just messed up my entire family. And she goes, and I was once an X-Men, and at one time we would protect people, even the evil people. But she's like, that's no more. And she goes, and if you mess with me, you will be sorry. They laughed in her face. I mean, and they really laughed hard. And let me just tell you, that was a mistake, because this book showcases when you fuck with Kitty Pryde, you will get screwed. And she truly showed her true power in this comic book. I mean, she put people in their grave in a very horrific manner. She blew them up. She put pistols into their brains. She kicked them inside and out. I mean, it was absolutely insane. And I have not seen Kitty Pryde do this in quite some time. I mean, she punched a hole through a guy's chest and ripped out his heart. I mean, that is dark. And while you saw her do this, you see her go through that pain and agony and that suffering. And she is not the same person anymore. And that was outstanding. And that was outstanding character work from Jerry Duggan. And this shows me that the talent is there. And when somehow, some way, that editorial does not get in the way, or some kind of stupid agenda from keeping certain characters alive, or whatever the case may be, there's a good story here, right? And that particular moment in time with Kitty Pryde going through those trials and tribulations, right, just makes you forget. You get lost in that comic book. And that's what I appreciate in comics. That's what you want. You don't want some bullshit nonsense going around with fake deaths because you're worried about this culture or religion or a person being gay. Like, things are going to happen. Like, if you're going to change and put culture and religion and just, you know, all this status quo stuff in your comics, and you kill these people off, don't be afraid to do it. Just do it, right? Just do it, man. Grow a pair of balls. Overall, I thought this book was absolutely awesome. I Ms. Marvel stuff aside, and we put that stuff aside, the door is closed now, definitely read this book. I love it, and I love where we're going with the mutant stuff right now. Hopefully it lasts. Stay away from Astonishing Iceman. There's nothing there worthwhile your money. Read the X-Men stuff. I'm going to read more of this Fall of X stuff as we go, and we'll see where it takes us. But that's just my honest opinion here. Just get away from the agendas, man. Just tell great stories, and I think people will definitely enjoy this more. I loved Kitty Pryde here. That's what you have to showcase, her true power, and hopefully they do that with the other X-Men in the future as well. So just my 2 cents here, guys. Leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I may not have explained it the way maybe it's going through my head, but that's just my thoughts. So if you love the content, I'm going to leave you my review on the Hellfire Gala issue. And of course, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but most importantly, always read those comics. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.